Welcome to Making the Fourth Wall, the show that takes a peek behind the curtain of community theater productions. I'm your host, Mark Noble. In our inaugural episode, I am thrilled to welcome my friend, the Vice President of Productions at Somerset Valley Players, Todd Bennington. Todd is directing Neil Simon's Come Blow Your Horn, which opens at SVP on March 6th, 2026. Todd, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mark. Thank you very much.
So, Todd, people have this Hollywood type view and vision of what a director is, right? The iconic figure sitting in the high sling-back chair with the beret and the megaphone in their hand. But that's not at all what the life of a director in a community theater production is it?
No, no.
Can you take a moment, Todd, and give us a little thumbnail sketch of what it means to be a director at a community theater production?
Well, first of all, I don't have one of those slingback chairs. I would love one, but I don't have one. I do have a beret. I'm actually a French teacher, so that, I do have to have a beret.
That
So
works.
right? So what happens as a director in a community theater? First, you want to select a show that you have a passion for to direct.
Right.
Every show that I have directed, in when I've been doing community theater, has some connection to me. And I don't think I could direct a show and put the passion into the show if I didn't have some kind of a connection to it. So everything that I've done so far, I've really wanted to direct.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And do you you just pick a show and you tell the theater, hey, I'm going to do this show, or how does that work?
Well, there's a whole process at Somerset Valley Players, and actually I am the vice president of production. So I formed a committee, a play reading committee, where we ask directors to submit shows, and our committee reads these shows. We meet once, twice, three times to narrow down which shows we think would be good for our upcoming season. And then we select a slate. In our case, we have 8 shows a season. So we select a slate of 8 shows, and we present it to the Board of Trustees at Somerset Valley. And they approve or disapprove of all the shows, some of the shows, none of the shows, and we move on from there.
So once that show gets selected, then what does a director end up doing?
Oh, once that show is selected, immediately I read it 17 times. Like, I read and read and read, and I try to find little nuances in it. I have ideas in my head of how I want the visual of the show to look. From there, you are assigned a producer, and the producer and you work tightly together to hire a stage manager, to hire lighting designers, to hire set designers, set dressers, costume people, prop people, etc. Yeah.
And so once you've got that together, what other responsibilities does a director have? Taking it through to closing, the final show.
Yeah.
What else does a director actually get involved in?
Well, obviously it's the casting of the show that
Yes.
that's huge. I've said this, and many directors have said this. Casting a show is 95% of the success of the show, and that is my opinion, and I've heard others say that as well. You hold auditions for your show. When I direct a show, I have a visual of the kind of actor that I need for particular roles.
Yep.
As you're holding your auditions, you have all these wonderful people that come out to audition, but there's only certain parts. You can't cast 5 people for one role, let's say. And luckily,
Right.
that's a great problem to have, because then you're going to have a great show.
Right.
So once you cast the show, then you start. In my case, what I like to do is I like to block the show out beforehand, before we even start rehearsals, before we even have a read through of the show. I block the show out with my stage manager, so in that first rehearsal, we're ready to roll. And once we have that first rehearsal, we go through scene by scene, or however it's broken up. You build your rehearsal schedule. You assign certain days to certain scenes. You block it out. I like to block the whole show out in the first few rehearsals, and then the fine tuning of the show comes. And I think that could be my favorite part.
So for our audience members who aren't familiar with the term blocking, what does that actually mean?
Yeah.
What is it that you're doing with blocking?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, blocking the show basically means where your characters are moving on the stage.
Okay, so
Are they
what you're
using
telling
certain-
me is that the words that come out of the actors' mouths are from the script and the author that wrote the script, but you as the director are actually creating the motion on stage.
Yes, yes. And sometimes when you read a script, there's blocking in, blocking in the script as well. Some directors use that to the T. Some directors don't use any of that. I'm one of those directors that kind of goes in between. So sometimes it makes sense for the way our set is built. Sometimes it doesn't. So you have to be flexible as a director to be able to manipulate all that.
So Todd, now that we have a good idea of what blocking is and such, you have a pretty unique process in terms of how you go about coming up with that creative vision of motion on stage. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. One of the things, a lot of directors, we're all different. Some directors block on the fly, as the actors are there on stage. Some directors don't give any blocking until actors are off book already. I have a completely different style. I get a blueprint of my set, and what I do is I have Smurfs from 1984, and each Smurf, I still have them. Each Smurf is a different character from the play. So what I do is, when Alan Baker and Buddy Baker are on stage, I move them around the set, and that's how I block it. It's like, oh, Alan should move over here at this point, Buddy should sit on the couch at this point. So that is the way I do it. And I sit there with my stage manager, and we write it all out, so we're ready to go on day one of rehearsals. It's all about the Smurfs.
That's a beautiful idea, Todd. So you have taken your learning style of being kinesthetic and applied it to how you do the blocking.
That's exactly right, and it works for me.
Tell me a little bit about once you've got your show cast, and you've got it blocked and that sort of stuff, and now you're beginning those rehearsals. In community theater, the beautiful thing about community theater is it gives everybody access and an opportunity to come out and be part of storytelling and live theater, right? Which also means that you have a wide array of experiences in terms of your actors and such that are on stage. Now, you playing that role of coach now as the director, how do you manage that process with that wider range of expertise, if you will, on stage?
That's a good question, because when I first started out acting, I would always look to the seasoned players, for advice. Kind of watch them, how they took direction, how they moved around the stage, how they became the character. And I think coaching as a director, when you're coaching the character, you have to get in the characters' heads the actors' heads, that they have to become that character. Like, it's not just Todd Bennington on a stage acting. It is Todd Bennington being this character. You really have to internalize the character. I think that, again, 95% is casting, but another 95%, if you will, is becoming that character. It's very obvious when you're watching a show and an actor is just kind of going through the motions.
Now, Todd, for our listeners that perhaps go to see shows and enjoy shows but have never really thought about getting involved in community theater, can you share your journey in terms of how you got started in community theater?
Sure. Picture it, 2003. I was teaching, I'm a French and Spanish teacher, and we hired a new science teacher in our district, Lori Wood. And Lori and I hit it off immediately. She was only taught with me for a year, but we hit it off immediately. And she said to me, "Oh, you have to audition for a show with me if you like theater." I said, "Lori," I said, it was Seussical the musical. I said, "I don't sing, I don't really act, and I certainly don't dance." Right? So she goes, "No, just do it. We just do it." I said, "All right, I'll do it." So we did it. Of course, I got cast, as did she, and the rest is history. So that was the first community theater show I did. Then a few years later, I came to SVP in 2008, and I did the Best Little Whorehouse in Texas on stage, and the rest is history. I've been with SVP ever since.
And how did you make that transition from being an actor into a director? What did you have to do to get there? Is there any special training you go through to become a director, or how does it actually work?
That's a great question. Never in a million years did I think I would direct anything. I was a stage actor at that time, and I just didn't think I would. So what happened was I had auditioned for a play at SVP, and I got a call from the director the next day saying, "Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to cast you," which that's okay, that's fine. He goes, "But I do have some better news." I said, "Okay, what's going on?" So he asked me if I would want to direct the next play after his show. And I said to him, I said, "Mike," I said, "I've never really directed anything before." I said, "I'll do it if I can have another director, a co-director." So Lori Wood, same woman from before, Lori Wood and I directed Play It Again, Sam. And that was my dive into directing. And then after that, by myself, my first solo direction was Neil Simon's Lost in Yonkers, and that was
awesome.
That was such a great experience.
Another Neil Simon production. You seem to have an affinity there.
I love Neil Simon shows. I've directed several, Lost in Yonkers. I was fortunate enough to do the trilogy of Brighton Beach Memoirs, Biloxi Blues, and Broadway Bound. It's the story basically of Eugene Jerome in 3 separate stories, and I was fortunate enough to do all 3 at SVP. I've done Rumors, I've done California Suite, and now we're doing Come Blow Your Horn. So yes, I'm a big Neil Simon fan.
Well, Todd, you mentioned earlier that the way you select shows to submit is basically having some connection to the show. What is your connection to Come Blow Your Horn?
My connection to Come Blow Your Horn, I think I don't have a personal connection to this show, but I did want to do this show because it was Neil Simon's very first Broadway hit. And in fact, this year in February, we're celebrating Neil Simon's 65th anniversary of Come Blow Your Horn on Broadway. So that was my connection to it. I really wanted to do it justice and put on a great show.
A tribute to the man that you've enjoyed many of his productions and gotten to direct so well. Tell me a little bit in the current show, Come Blow Your Horn. What is one of your favorite characters in this show, and tell me a little bit about why.
That's a great question. Well, there are 7 characters in this show. Which one is my favorite? Oh boy. That's a great question because I love every single character in this show. And what happens when I direct, in my head, I am all the characters. And that's kind of the way I direct. I think, what would I do? And I give coaching to my actors like that. But which one is my favorite? I have to say, Mark, I think it is your character in my show. I think it is Mr. Baker. Just because you just don't know what he's thinking. You do know what he's thinking, but you don't know how he's going to overtly exclaim those words. He's a great character. He's so funny.
Yeah. He absolutely is. I'm having fun playing.
Yeah.
Give me something for the audience that they should be looking for when they come to see Come Blow Your Horn. Maybe a little, without giving away the plot, a little Easter egg of what they can look for in the show that might, add to the enjoyment of the experience, if you will.
Well, one thing that an audience member might be anticipating if they come and see the show is several of your lines in the show and the way you say it, and perhaps the way some of the other characters and kind of mimic what you're saying. Is that enough of an Easter egg?
Very cool. It's a cute technique to kind of tie things together, and I think that'll be something fun for people to look for in the show. Todd, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Come Blow Your Horn is a Laugh Out Loud production running Fridays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m. from March 6th through March 22nd, 2026. Get your tickets now at svptheatre.org. That's svptheatre.org. Todd, this has been a lot of fun. Break legs with the run. And for our audience, thank you for joining us, and stay tuned for more insightful episodes of Making the Fourth Wall.
Thanks, Mark.